Okay, so I'm going to be preaching today to a desired audience of already Christians. It is, like the assignment desires, something that also can be understood by non-Christians, and hopefully would be something that would be interesting for them as well to listen to. And the title of my sermon today will be The Value of Integrity, an Issue of the Heart. And I will be reading of and out of Philippians 2 verses 14 to 18. I'm just going to begin by reading Philippians chapter 2, verse 14 to 18. Feel free to follow along with me if you'd like, for those others of you in the audience. Do everything without grumbling or arguing, so that you may become blameless and pure, children of God without fault, in a warped and crooked generation. Then you will shine among them like stars in the sky, as you hold firmly to the word of life. And then I will be able to boast on the day of Christ that I did not run or labour in vain. But even if I am poured out like a drink offering on the sacrifice and service coming from your faith, I am glad and rejoice with all of you. So you too should be glad and rejoice with me. So obviously I'm going to be speaking about integrity. That's what the title of my sermon is, an issue of the heart. But before I even get into the biblical pattern, as so often that our senior pastor Mark von Blankensee speaks about, that is our journey as Christians to be seeking the biblical pattern in our lives. Set by the Bible, from Jesus, his journey, the letters from the disciples, other things, altogether the biblical pattern of how we are to live our lives. And before we even delve into the biblical pattern, in the secular world, integrity is valued so highly. It is so important. I mean, before we even look at how highly important it is in the Bible, in a workplace, integrity is valued so much because it's honesty, it's moral integrity, it's doing the right thing, not the easy thing. It's showing that you can stand up outside of peer pressure, outside of pressures that are on you, and stand up for what you believe in or what your workplace is, and so much other stuff to be honest, to show great integrity, show great personal strength in those moments, and that's honoured. And that's so often when we see promotion for people and see people that go far in the world, where people end up getting presidency and prime minister, the Prime Minister and other things like that. It's just, what I'm trying to say is that it's valued. It's valued for a reason. It's not valued for no reason at all. It's not something that's rare. Well, sometimes it is rare, but it's not something that is just a random thing that happens. It's valued for a reason because it's very important. And that's what I wanted to start that off by saying, that to see that secularly as something that's important means that it's so crazy that it's actually really important for us too. That as Christians, that in our journey, it's so very vital that our heart has great integrity in our actions and what we do in everyday life, in our journey, in what we believe we're called to do, and how we believe God's guiding us. I know and have often grown up hearing with my friends and others around me that we're the lost generation, or actually very often, like I hear generations like the older people speak down to our generation, saying that we're a lost generation, that we're not much good for anything, we're lazy, that we don't bring much to this world and society. But so often, the generation that came before us had things, how they did stuff in society, how they related to people, how they related in their workplaces, their technology, the things that helped them do what they needed to do. All this changes over time, and so often the generation before us looks at what we do, not completely understanding and then judging negatively what we do or how we are reacting to that or how we're dealing with that. And so often a generation will judge the next generation as a warped and crooked generation, just because of how they don't understand what's happening and the changes that are happening socially, in society, in works, in technology and things, and places like this. And there's always going to be a generation that has its shortcomings. A generation is always going to have its downfalls. It's always going to have its negative parts. But that's not what we're here to dwell on.